What's going on, people? It's your man, the YB. Once again, big shout out to my dog, Lawrence King, for coming through with 100 large, boosting up the coin. Big respect, General. So, as you've seen by the title, we got some breaking news for the great and washed masses right now regarding the Anunnaki starseed Terence Crawford. He's fixing to drop down a weight class and do the unthinkable. He's already set the record, 3 times undisputed. And the cool thing about undisputed is, it's not like, you know, in Corny Cats, they say like, oh, I was an 8 class world champion. It's not really the same. It's not like there's just one belt. Undisputed, yeah, is really the only thing that legitimately counts as a world championship, right? You couldn't be, if you were 8-time gold medalist in an Olympic sport, that would mean you were the best, right? 8 times. Whereas in boxing, you could be. Obviously, it's better than being a bare bum in the shower like the YB and not having no belts, but still, you could reasonably be a 4-belt champion and have picked all the weak champions or just been lucky and fought a bunch of plumbers. Look at Billy Joe. Come on, great example. Billy Joe's a 2-weight world champion. Who'd he beat, man? You couldn't. Come on. I think he beat a cat called Sheffer something. Some sandy plumbing sounding name, yeah? Some plumber from Sandyland. That's who he beat for his 168 world title. You get my point? So to Terence Crawford, to be undisputed, because undisputed is the one constant we have throughout time and throughout weight classes. If he was undisputed 50 years ago when it was 1 belt or 2 belts, that's still undisputed. There's no one else. You pop both of their chops if there was 2 belts or whatever. You get the point, right? So Terence Crawford's done something that, I guess, listen, Usyk probably would have done it as well, to be fair. If, for example, the Bridgerweight was taken seriously, he would have no doubt done that too. So it's a bit hard. Someone like Usyk would have also likely achieved. He just seems to be unlucky because the weight class is a bit weird, right? All of a sudden you go from cruiserweight, bosh, 250 pounds, straight up 260 pounds or whatever. Anyway, undisputed at 140, undisputed at 168, undisputed at 147. Now he's come out and said he's fixing to drop down to 160 and clean up there. Here's the video. Bosh.
Did. I think the next question, of course, is, I mean, you've reached the mountaintop, clearly made yourself the best fighter of this era and generation. We're talking conversation up here about, like, all-time greats, but how do you feel about the future? I mean, are you riding off into the sunset after something like this? I mean, we're in a stadium, 70,000 people, did this beautiful performance, or are we going to see more of Bud Crawford? I know you said you want to think about it, but what's your gut tell you at the moment?
My gut say the same thing. You know, I'm going to sit down with my team, and we're going to discuss what's next in the future for Terence Crawford. And, you know, who knows? I might go down to 160.
I already told him.
Okay.
I already told him it's your time, bro.
Alright, there you hear it. That tells you what he's really fixing. Obviously, he just finished punching the carrot juice out of cinnamon bun. So he's not going to have a... Listen, if he was 32 and had just done this, he probably has a plan. No one's going to retire. Well, it's very unlikely for people these days to retire at 32, but he's getting a bit long in the tooth now. He's 38, but success, it's hard to go out on top, especially when you're doing it comfortably. Does that make sense? It's different, for example, someone like Lennox Lewis, who had life and death, arguably, with Vitaly Klitschko. You think, yeah, I've kind of got away with one there, potentially, and I think it's best I call it a day. But when you're going in there, people, let me show you Crawford's face. I can't even find it, but you can see the pictures. Here's a leaked picture, in fact. Look, this is the picture taken after the fight. Okay, and I'll make it big. We need to see how there weren't no shots landed. Okay, that's what there was not. So you can see this picture leaked from the post-fight. This was after, I think, what was it? The fight took place. They went back to Turkey's pad, and this is the photo that was taken after the Canelo fight. As you can see here, there's not a mark on his face. Yeah, and you've got baby Carrot Top here. Yeah, Crawford punching back. He punching back. He punching back to his toddler stage. So they're all celebrating. This is all his. Listen, this is the first child. Yeah, the first orange one born from 2 black daddies and one. What's this cat here? Was he Taiwanese or something. Taiwanese and Russian thing. Come on, man. Come on, man. Anyway, on a serious note, you can see the pictures from the post-fight. There wasn't a mark on him. So when you're in there and you're just going undisputed for fun, I mean, how do you say no? Why would you say no? You know what I mean? At the same time, though, I did a video 2 days ago. I personally think the Bivol fight makes more sense than going down to 160. Not that he's necessarily more likely to beat Bivol, but that is like... Crawford's going to be a big favourite in all them fights, rightly or wrongly. However, they're tough fights. Not so much Lara. I think he can beat... Lara's 50 years old, man. And who knows, he could be older than that. He came from Cuba, right? They got the Moody passport. We don't know how old Erislandy Lara is. Yes, he punched up Danny Garcia, but Danny Garcia looked proper. Come on. Lara himself didn't look too fresh. So he'll beat Lara. Adamez ain't no punk. And he hungry still. Yeah, we saw what he did to Hamza. Just taking the piss with Hamza. Literally, he's slipping inside. That's a tough fight. That's a long, hard... honestly, I think the Adamez fight will be more competitive than the Canelo fight, honestly. That's what I think it will be. Much more competitive and tricky. And there's no real... Adamez, he's not an undisputed champion. There's no real acclaim there. And then you've got to beat Janibek. So in reality, you're going to have 3 more fights at 160. Is it possible in the meantime? Let's say you fought Janibek first, and then... You know what I mean? The point is, you can have it's a long way of stretching it out. Whereas at 175, I know, listen, I guess Benavidez is now the WBC champion, which is a bit gay, to be fair. So that means you'd have to fight 2 people there. He's not going to... I think Benavidez is too big. And Crawford himself said that. This was, no doubt, before the Canelo fight, though. Crawford said, no, I'm not fighting Benavidez, he's too big. But the Bivol situation... Yeah, you're not going to be undisputed still. Maybe he's not... If you're... Let's assume he's not chasing undisputed. I just don't see how he does it at 160. He wouldn't be that old. He must be... He'd be probably 40. If he got on it and didn't have a year out the ring again, and he got on it and he was proper chasing it, he could do it. But I think... I don't know. Obviously, the 175 accomplishment is harder. But look how Canelo lost to Bivol. Canelo lost to Bivol, no doubt, right? But it wasn't like he got proper weighed in. And that's lazy, no-gas Canelo. Obviously, styles make fights, yeah. But I think the Bivol fight will just be a bit of a stinky... I can see Crawford nicking 5 rounds. What's his name? Craig Richards won 3 or 4 rounds against Bivol. Yeah? These cats down here, man, they're starving to death. Bivol ain't really starving to death. Janibek's starving to death. Adamez, he's starving to death. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Obviously, again, you'd have to fight Benavidez. And I think that was where I wouldn't back Crawford to beat Benavidez. Just too big, and he fights too big as well. Benavidez fights big. He can't punch, but you don't necessarily have to punch. The volume of it. Look at that other Cuban cat. What's his name? Benavidez was all over him, and that's a big 175-pound man. Just all over him. Couldn't get him off him. I don't know how Crawford. And it was evident. Yes, he did slap Canelo up, but it was evident that the shots weren't having the effect like they would have been at 147. And even in the Madrimov fight, when he was landing the shots, they weren't having the effect. He got through on touching people, right? He touched Madrimov. He touched Carrot Top. But it wasn't like, oh, your head's come off. Yeah? And even on that narrative, I'm not sure. Is he going to clip? Janibek is a bit leaky. I think the Janibek fight's alright. Adamez, I rate Adamez. He's going to be in there slipping, sliding. And them two had a good spar, actually. Crawford and Adamez had a really good spar, and it was 50-50. You can watch about 5 minutes of it. I think I've done it on some nondescript video a few months ago. He was in there rocking and rolling and just, oh, whoa, this guy good. Adamez is good. But listen, end of the day, I think even my own thoughts, yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, you almost want to talk out. You know how people do with Usyk? So I have to check myself. Yeah, the Usyk homosexuals, they'll say things like, oh, I want him to retire. No, stay at the top. And I'm, to some extent, communicating that now as well. Oh, no, don't go to 160 because you might get whooped. But listen, man, yeah, we ain't on no corny shit, man. That's what we're not on. So, if he wants it, He could reasonably retire now, or if Canelo wants to rematch and Turkey wants to pay for it, do another rematch and then retire. But if he's not gonna, fuck it, if you want to go down there and have a go and show your proper old school, because a lot of them, man, what's his name? Leonard. He ran it till the wheels fell off. He was getting punched up by bums at the end. Yeah, and I do think there's something honourable in that. I do think there's something. I remember watching a TV show about the Vikings. It wasn't a real documentary, but it was a TV show called The Vikings, right? So it's not animated, but it's dramatised. It's not real life. It's not a real life thing from 50,000 years ago or whatever. But in there, yeah, in this TV show called Vikings, there was some old head, and he was like 55 years old or whatever, and he'd been raiding and plundering for X amount of years since he was a young man. He couldn't wander. He wanted to travel, yeah. He wanted to meet his maker, and he was actually pissed off. I think you watch him fight about 3 battles, and after every battle, he can't work out why he can't get to Warrior's Paradise. You see that one there? Yeah. And that often, obviously, we're not living in, it's not real warriordom right now, it's a boxing match, but still, a lot of the old school, man, look at Ali or whatever, they went out, and Roy Jones and Hopkins, they went out until they had nothing left. You see what I mean? And there is something, I'm not saying, listen, Crawford's not even 50 yet, he's not trying to do a Roy Jones as such, but there is something in that, man. Yeah? Go in until you've got nothing left. And Crawford isn't even at that point. So he could reasonably spend another 2 years, he'll be, just turned 40. Beterbiev, he beat Bivol the first time and lost in a close fight in the second one. It's like not the end of the world. Crawford don't drink. He's not on the hooch. He's not on the pills. He does love a brass stuff, I've heard. He does love a brass. I'm telling you now. Crawford loves a brass. That's the of all the 3, that's the least toxic one. If you had to pick one, if you had to pick a debaucherous niche, you'd lean with the brass, wouldn't you? You wouldn't go with the liquor or the pills. Yeah, that's what you wouldn't do. So, of all the vices he has, it's not ideal, but it's better than the other 2. And as long as you're locked in for fight camp, yeah, you could reasonably spend 3 months of the year brassing the life out of your legs, and then get into fight camp and lock down, and it's not going to affect your performance. So, if anyone can do it, it's him, and it will really put him. Anyone, listen, I would have fought Canelo for 50 trillion, right? Any plumber would have fought Canelo, given a chance. So, that's one thing. Going back down to 160 and putting belt to arse on Dusties that no one knows about, but doing it just for the, you know what I mean? Just for the, what would you call it? Just for the, do you know what I mean? Taking a fight. What am I trying to articulate here? You must get what I'm talking about. Taking a fight, not for money or fame, or he's got a bigger name than me so it makes sense. And these guys don't even have undisputed. But going down there, yeah, and doing it just for the glory of it, just for the victory's sake of it. Because there won't be much glory. If he ultimately goes undisputed, there will be. But really, it's not going to change him beating Canelo. Bearing in mind, he's gone down to a smaller weight class and he's fighting completely unknown fighters. These are hardcore names. No Joe Blow knows any of these names at 160. And to be fair, even at 175, people know Bivol a bit more. But even then, no one's going to... Joe Blow does not know Dimitri Bivol. Joe Blow is much more likely to know someone like Canelo, for example. And thinking about it, actually, it's a shame that Jamel Charlo don't have the belts at 154 no more. Because that could have been an easy tie-up. He'd have whooped Jamel Charlo ass, man. He too sweet. Jamel too sweet. He's way too sweet. Jamel Charlo is way too sweet, man. Crawford would have, trust me. Yeah? Crawford would have took Jamel Charlo back to the private school he went to. That's how he looked to me. Jamel Charlo looked like one of them Knicks, yeah. You know that TV show called The Fresh Prince? Jamel Charlo, his daddy is that light-skinned Donny. You know what I'm talking about? The big judge. Was he a judge, was he? Yeah, him. Phil. Uncle Phil. That's who Jamel Charlo daddy was, man. Big private school looking ass Carlton. That's how he fights. He fights like he went to private school, man. Get Jamel Charlo out of here, man. He no good. Crawford would have whooped his ass, man. That's what he'd have done. But let's see what happens, man. He's not going to go to 175. Forget about that. But imagine it, though. But imagine that. Imagine it. Imagine you're sitting there, fight night, and he's about to get in there with Bivol. Because I don't know. You're going to back him, even though I think the Adams fight is close. There's no way. I think seeing the underdog prevail, when people are expected to do things, it always leaves, or often leaves, a lot to be desired. Even when Usyk fought AJ, for example, he was the underdog. So it made it more special as such. I think even the Fury fights, he was an underdog as well. Certainly the first one he was. So in these middleweight fights, he's going to be the favourite. And a bit like the Madrimov fight, he was the favourite. It left a little bit, you're like, okay, well, you're expected to do that. If Crawford had been the underdog in the Madrimov performance, you look at things a different way. Does that make sense? Because even that Canelo performance, if Crawford had been the favourite, on hindsight, we probably would have been saying, yeah, it was alright, but he didn't really... See what I mean? But it was because he wasn't expected to do nothing. The few times he is in there holding his feet and punking Carrot Top, you think, oh damn, this is good. So even in the Bivol fight, let's say he wins 5 rounds and it's close, people are going to be shouting he won that fight. Right? But if he wins 7 rounds against Adams, they're going to be saying, oh, you got punched up. I don't know. It is what it is. But that Bivol fight will be mind-blowing. That would be the hardest thing on earth to do. And again, even fighting some of these cats, Mac Mooley will come to fight. He's going to throw his hands. And he's not as... Arguably, fighting technical fighters is somewhat better. Because they do like to faff around. Bivol will like to faff around a little bit. Yeah? He's going to be cautious. Same as Usyk, really, most of the time. Unless your name's Minimus Dustiphius and you're proper stiff. Like this. Usyk's just going to outbox you. So he has a little bit something in that. But when you got these cats who are out the mud, yeah? When you got these bear wrestling cats like Janibek, and you've got these revolutionary freedom fighters like Carlos Adams, they got something to prove and they're hungry. Bivol, his wife said, he changed up after the Canelo fight. He's in Dubai now with some Arabian brass, yeah? Mansions and cars. So there's a little bit of sweetness. Although, listen, he did fight well with Beterbiev in the rematch. But there's a little bit of sweetness in there. There's nothing sweet about Adams. There's nothing sweet about Mac Mooley. They're coming. This is their turn up. Right? This is their put on. This is. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, people. Check out my Charlie Kirk documentary on Patreon. Click this bindi right here. Yeah? But you don't even know. Listen, this is the problem. You, man, don't know what you don't know. Okay? So if you don't know, yeah, you got to click this bindi button right here and get plugged in to the YB's elite content. Because you ain't never heard these bars before. Like button, subscribe. Johnny.